One of the main reasons Fast and Loud became a hit was Aaron Kaufman's amazing mechanical skills. But after 14 seasons, he made the shocking decision to quit. What happened? Stay tuned as we look into the reasons he quit the show that made him famous. Aaron Kaufman has loved machines since he was a child. If it had an engine, moved, or made a loud noise, he was interested. He didn't just want to watch, he wanted to take things apart. Taking things apart to figure out how they worked and then putting them back together again sparked his interest in machines and helped him become one of the most famous custom car builders in the world. Aaron's father was a mechanic who lived and breathed engines. He wasn't just fixing cars for a living, he loved it. Aaron grew up with tools and grease all around him. He grew up with his hands on cars and the sound of engines revving all the time. It's no surprise that he became interested in cars himself. But here's the interesting thing. Aaron learned a lot from his dad, but his real passion didn't fully ignite until he started driving. Working on a car in the garage is one thing, but getting behind the wheel and feeling the power of the machine you've built is another. That's when things changed for him. Aaron didn't grow up in a garage full of extra cars to tinker with like some kids do. He wasn't given fancy tools or extra cars to play around with. Instead, he had to learn the hard way by fixing his own cars whenever they broke down. Imagine being a teenager and knowing that if your car broke down, there was no one else to fix it, and you didn't have the extra money to get it fixed by a professional. Aaron learned quickly by fixing things with just his tools and the problem at hand, but guess what? Aaron never wanted to be a mechanic. If you had asked Aaron Kaufman as a child what he wanted to do when he grew up, he wouldn't have said he wanted to build some of the coolest custom cars in the world. Instead, he wanted to be a park ranger and spend his days exploring the great outdoors. Aaron Kaufman used to dream of being a park ranger, patrolling forests, climbing mountains, and protecting nature. But life has a funny way of taking us in unexpected directions, and even though he never became a park ranger, his love for off-roading never went away. In fact, it became a big part of his career later on. He didn't just build cars to look cool, he built them to handle rough terrain and go places most vehicles couldn't. Before he became the famous, bearded mechanical genius that people all over the world know and love. He worked in a small garage in Dallas and wasn't famous or on TV. He was just a guy with an amazing knack for taking things apart, figuring out how they worked, and then putting them back together better than before. One day, while working at a garage in Dallas, Aaron met Richard Rawlings. Rawlings had big dreams, a love for cars, and a good eye for talent. He had just opened Gas Monkey Garage, a shop that took old, broken-down cars and turned them into... Rawlings saw something special in Aaron right away. Aaron wasn't just average when it came to cars. He had a rare gift for seeing projects through to completion, and his attention to detail was unmatched. It didn't take long for Rawlings to offer Aaron a job at Gas Monkey Garage. By 2012, Rawlings had an even bigger idea. He wanted to bring Gas Monkey Garage to TV. He pitched the idea of a reality show about restoring cars, and Aaron accepted the job. Discovery Channel picked up the show and made it into Fast and Loud. Aaron Kaufman quickly became a fan favorite. What made him stand out? Maybe it was his long bushy beard, the calm focused way he worked, or his insane talent for turning old, forgotten cars into jaw-dropping works of art. While Rawlings was the loud, energetic businessman, Aaron was the quiet, methodical genius behind the builds. The two of them made an unbeatable team, and Fast and Loud became a huge hit. Aaron was truly unique because he was so dedicated to his work. It wasn't just a job for him. It was his passion, and he showed that in the most extreme way possible. During filming, Aaron had to have emergency surgery. Most people would take time off to rest and recover, but Aaron didn't. He only took 3 days off and went right back to work. Most people wouldn't even think about working after surgery, but Aaron didn't want to slow down for years. Fans of Fast and Furious. Fans of Fast and Loud watched Aaron Kaufman and Richard Rawlings turn old abandoned cars into beautiful works of art. They were a great team, with Rawlings being the fast-talking businessman and Kaufman being the bearded, mechanical genius who could bring any car back to life. But by the end of 2016, something had changed. Fans were shocked to hear that Aaron Kaufman was leaving the show after 14 years of working with Richard Rawlings. Why would he leave something so successful? From the outside, working at Gas Monkey Garage seemed like a dream job. Customizing cars, being on TV, and making a name for yourself in the car world. But for Aaron, things weren't as perfect as they seemed. He later said that the last 5 years at GMG felt like 20. It had been a long time since he was happy with his work. That's a long time to be upset with it. The main problem between Kaufman and Rawlings was that they were very different artists. Visions for building cars. Aaron wanted to make cars that were bigger, more complicated, and faster, but the TV show wanted cars that were smaller, easier to build, and faster. Later, in an interview with Art of Gears, Aaron said that he wanted to make bigger or more complicated cars, but that TV required him to work on smaller, simpler cars. This difference in creative direction made each project more frustrating for him because it didn't match up with his goals. Along with the creative problems, Kaufman also said that he and Rawlings had some personal and professional disagreements. He didn't go into too much detail, but it was clear that things weren't as smooth behind the scenes as they seemed on TV. He likened it to coming to a fork in the road. One path led to staying at Gasmononke Garage and continuing to work under stressful conditions and feeling limited, while the other path led to freedom and new opportunities. In the end, he chose freedom because it gave him new projects and the freedom to build cars the way he wanted. One of the biggest questions fans had was if Kaufman and Rawlings had a bad relationship. While Kaufman kept things professional, he did hint that there was some tension. He didn't leave on bad terms, but there were definitely a lot of frustrations. There were differences that led him to quit his job after 14 years. It's not easy to leave a job after that long, and things can get complicated when you work with someone that closely for that long. Richard was leaving GMG in the show, which left a lot of people. Richard Rawlings, owner of Gas Monkey Garage, later admitted that Kaufman's exit wasn't his choice. He said it came completely out of left field, which means it was a complete surprise. Rawlings was honest about how hard it was to lose Kaufman. He even admitted that moving forward would be very difficult without Kaufman. After all, Kaufman wasn't just a worker. He was a big part of why GMG became popular in the first place. Kaufman was the master builder who made those cars legendary. When GMG lost Kaufman, they had to rethink everything. Even though Kaufman's death was a huge blow, Gas Monkey Garage had to move on. The shop had already built a global brand, and Fast and Loud was still a huge hit on Discovery Channel. The show kept going without him. Richard Rawlings made it clear that Gas Monkey Garage wasn't just one man, it was a team, and the shop would. Many fans and critics thought that Fast and Loud would never be the same, and some even thought it might fail completely. Richard Rawlings wasn't having any of it, and in a blog post on GasMonkeyGarage.com, he quickly defended the rest of his team, saying it was unfair to say that Gas Monkey Garage couldn't work without Kaufman. Rawlings agreed that Kaufman's departure was a big loss for Gas Monkey Garage, but he stressed that GMG was more than just one person. He made it clear that it would be unfair to the rest of the team to say that the shop couldn't continue without Aaron. Rawlings praised the hard work and dedication of everyone at Gas Monkey Garage, saying that the garage was built on the strength of the whole crew, not just one person. In other words, he was saying, yes, losing Kaufman hurts, but don't forget Since Kaufman left, Gas Monkey Garage had to show that it could still provide the same level of quality, creativity, and excitement. To do this, they hired new mechanics to help with the builds and worked on even bigger projects to keep fans interested. They also tried to keep the same energy that Seaman had brought to the show, but fans noticed something was missing. The shop still did great work, but Kaufman had a special set of skills and personality that was hard to replace. The show went on for 3 more years, but the dynamic had changed. Some fans stayed, but others lost interest. The chemistry between Kaufman and Rawlings was part of what made the show fun to watch, and without their banter and teamwork, it just felt different. Fast and Loud ended in 2020. Gas Monkey Garage still exists, but the era of Fast and Loud as we knew it was over. Even though the show ended, Gas Monkey Garage had a huge impact on the car world for years. The show brought hot rods and custom cars to millions of people around the world, and let's be honest, none of that would have happened without Kaufman and Rawlings. When Aaron Kaufman left Fast and Loud in 2017 for Gas Monon Garage, fans wondered what the bearded genius would do next. Would he leave the car world behind, disappear from TV, or start something new? Kaufman wasn't about to give up on his passion, so he did something big. Kaufman started his own car shop in Dallas, Texas, called Arclight Fabrication. For years, he had wanted to work on bigger and more complicated projects, but at Gas Monkey Garage, he often had to rush through builds to meet the deadlines of Fast and Loud. That wasn't how he liked to work, so when he finally got the chance to do things his way, he jumped at it. Arclight Fabrication wasn't just any car shop. Kaufman had a clear vision. He wanted to focus on making and supplying aftermarket parts for. Of all the cars Kaufman could work on, why did he choose the Ford F-100 pickup truck? Well, Kaufman has always liked old trucks, especially ones from the 1950S to the 1970S. The Ford F-100 is an iconic American truck, but it's not always easy to find good parts for it. Kaufman saw an opportunity. Instead of just restoring these trucks, why not make the parts that truck fans need? That's exactly what he did with Mustang parts. Kaufman had a full team and a big platform at Gas Monkey Garage thanks to Fast and Loud, but now he had to start from scratch. He had to find the right team, the right customers, and the right project. But this was Kaufman's true passion, and he once said, "I'd rather do what I love and take my time than rush through builds just for TV." Years later, Arclight Fabrication is still open, and Kaufman is still doing what he loves by working on Ford. Many fans wondered if Aaron Kaufman would ever come back to TV after leaving Fast and Loud in Gas Monkey Garage. Well, Kaufman didn't just disappear, he came back with two exciting new shows, Shifting Gears with Aaron Kaufman and Aaron Needs a Job. Let's take a closer look at what these shows are about and why car fans and Kaufman fans should watch them both. Shifting Gears is similar to Fast and Loud in that Kaufman focuses on what he does best, restoring and improving cars' performance. This show isn't just about flipping cars for quick cash, it's about taking on big restoration projects and pushing the limits of what a car can be. The show had the same high-energy feel as Fast and Loud, but with a new twist. What makes Shifting Gears unique is that it's closely linked to Kaufman's work at Arclight Fabrication. Since Kaufman has his own shop where he makes custom parts and works on projects that are important to him, it's clear that he loves what he does and is proud of every car he restores. And guess what? Fans and critics alike loved seeing Kaufman in his element working on classic cars and bringing them back to life. But Kaufman didn't stop there. He took on a whole new challenge. With Aaron Needs a Job, this show it's very different from what he used to do. He doesn't just fix cars anymore. Instead, Kaufman tours the country meeting people who are working on unique automotive projects, like restoring a rare classic. Kaufman jumps into these projects with the usual combination of curiosity and drive. The twist in Aaron Needs a Job is that Kaufman isn't just an expert at building cars, he's the boss at it. He's also trying his hand at jobs he's never done before. Kaufman leaves his comfort zone and faces tasks that are both interesting and hard as he works with a group of specialists to learn new skills. This show has a fun, adventurous vibe that is different from Shifting Gears' more technical focus. Kaufman meets lots of cool people who are also passionate about cars, and he even gets a taste of what it's like to work in a field that isn't his usual area of expertise. Both Shifting Gears and Aaron Needs a Job show something important about Kaufman, his love for cars and his willingness to try new things. Kaufman has the same energy and passion that made him a fan favorite on Fast and Loud when he's restoring a classic truck, working on a crazy new project, or learning something new. Even after leaving Gas Monkey Garage, Kaufman found new ways to keep doing what he loves. And now, we get to see it all on TV. One thing's for sure, Kaufman isn't slowing down anytime soon, and we're all along for the ride.